Welcome to this episode of the Customer Centric Retailing Podcast. This is Anil Patel, founder and CEO of Hotwix Commerce. In this podcast, we discuss e-commerce, omnichannel technology, pre-order management, brick and mortar operations, retail culture, innovation, and how all these elements come together to create customer-centric retailing. Join us to hear the brightest minds in the retail industry share their experiences and thoughts on the most relevant topics today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Customer Centric Retailing Podcast. Today, we have with us the modern director of AI initiatives at ALDO, Mr. Armen Momejian. Welcome, Armen. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Anil. Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah, man, this is great. I'm really glad that we have opportunity to talk to you today. And I'm in rush. I am in hurry to know so much about AI from you. Right now, everybody wants AI. Every tech company like ours want to be able to say we are AI capable or AI driven order management system or whatever. So I'm like, before I actually do it, I should, talk to people. How are they using? So, and here today I have an opportunity. But before we get into what you are doing today, I'm really interested to know about your path from where you started. What did you do? How did you get here to such an amazing place? So tell us about your background from your beginning of your career to today, what you are doing.
Sure. So I come from a digital background, digital technologies. About 15 years ago is when I first got introduced to software development. I was working at the time for National Bank of Canada, and I was working on various software development projects. That's where I got introduced to the Agile methodology and Scrum and all this stuff. And then I got the opportunity to work on the biggest initiative that I had touched back then, which was the mobile application, the banking mobile application. And then following that, I ventured into more of the retail space. And ALDO, I became an independent consultant. And my first customer was actually ALDO Shoes, where I'm employed today. But they were my customer for about 3 years, and I was working on the e-commerce side. Back then, they wanted to launch in 7 countries in Europe. So I helped launch those e-com sites. And then eventually I was leading the entire omnichannel program. And then they made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and I decided to join the ALDO family, which I'm glad I did because it opened up a lot of opportunities for me to learn new things. About in September of last year, we started an AI initiative, which I decided to venture in, which explains why I'm here today and working in AI as running the AI initiatives for ALDO, which I'm really proud of, and I'm thankful that I have gotten the opportunity at ALDO to do this.
Yeah, actually, definitely, interesting. I would say for sure. Definitely big thanks to the management at ALDO for taking these steps. While everybody wants to say with confidence that we are using AI or we are AI-driven company, at the same time, not very many people actually have courage to take that first step, because it's still new. Everybody has many doubts, from security to, they're scared, and then most of them don't know what to do. So for sure, I would say management of ALDO to their kudos that they took that decision. But then more so, everybody wants to do it. They need a person who will own it and take it and then run with it and make it a success. So it's, that's where you come in, Armen, and that's why I think I'm so excited. Yeah. So Armen, in the AI, over the last few years, we've seen AI being used by many different retailers, many different organizations. Something that I'm really scared about is that once the AI, which I've experienced so far in many ways, is when companies start using AI, we quickly lose the human touch. Now, if I'm chatting, I'm really not actually, I'm not happy if I know that I'm chatting with AI or with a robot or some rule engine or whatever, because the responses are not so helpful. It's not that I'm against the AI, but it's like the response has to be helpful. So, what is your experience and what you have on mind when it comes to customer interaction? How can AI be of help?
Sure. I understand this because I also use chatbots, and I hate it when I get those default responses and it's very robotic. So I understand. I think as a retailer, you have to be transparent about it. So you can just simply put on your chatbot that you are not speaking with a human, that this is a chatbot. I also believe that there are certain use cases that the bot can handle and others that should not be handled by the robot. For example, if you're doing FAQs or where's my order, especially now with the emergence of OpenAI's ChatGPT or these large language models where their response is a natural human language and it understands your intent, the conversation feels a lot more natural than before its existence, publicly, that is. So, of course, there is an improvement there in terms of the bot and the interaction with the consumer, but certain things cannot be handled by the bot, and I think fundamentally you have to be transparent about it when you're using those tools. That's my position.
Yeah. So do you think like in let's say in case of digital commerce, especially for like a fashion retailer like Aldo, uh, what are the applications? How do you see these AI bots will come handy, and how can they help retailers like yours to enhance the customer experience?
So first, I want to. So there are many facets to the question you're asking. So I will try to present it in a nice story way. So first of all, we don't see AI, at least at Aldo and myself, we don't see AI as a replacement for humans. So we see AI as a tool or as a superpower that we give to our staff, for them to make informed decisions, to enhance their decision making. And what AI is really good at is really crunching a bunch of data, and they don't take breaks. So they crunch data and they learn from that data and they never stop learning. So that's really their strength. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to use that power that AI brings so that we can make more informed decisions. From my experience at Aldo and what we have done, we have experimented with various facets. So we have experimented with RPA, which is robotics process automation, where you will take a mundane task or a repetitive task and you try to automate it. So that you can focus on more valuable tasks, for example. Then you have the Gen AI stuff, which everybody really is talking about. And the third, I would say, is more the advanced machine learning AI. So for the Gen AI in commerce, especially on the website and for customer experience in relation to the question you asked, is the whole notion of conversational commerce. So imagine you land on the website and you type in the search box. So first of all, I believe that the search box and the chat bot will probably be just one box. It's going to be a conversation box where you type your intent. I'm looking for shoes because I'm going to Coachella next year or something. And based on your intent, it will generate an image. We have done a POC on this at Aldo. This is why I'm referring to this. It will generate an image based on various sources for the trend because it understands the context. And it will recommend specific products to what you're looking for based on the context of your event, for example. So this is something that already exists, and it's really emerging. So this is one use case of Gen AI. The other use case is image recognition, so lookalikes and similarities of products, also for recommendations. But then you have more advanced machine learning techniques used for to solve various business problems or business challenges, such as a markdown optimization, fulfilling orders, or assortment and allocation. So these are use cases that will greatly affect the bottom line of your business. And this is where Aldo has made the biggest investment, which I currently run those initiatives at Aldo, which are multi-year initiatives with various steps like like experimentation, POC, and then MVP. And we see truly a lot of value with AI in those areas specifically.
Yeah, I like what you said, markdown optimization. On the face of it, it feels like a company is trying to give less discounts. But on the other side of it, I want to think about this effort in the path to achieving more sustainability, because in today's consumerism times, where most of the markdowns I think are started, they have their beginnings in too much of product I built at the beginning of the season, and by the end of the season I have so much left that somehow I have to get rid of it, and that's why I'm going to do all those markdowns. Do you think your strategy for Markdown and using AI and all kind of advanced machine learning to manage your Markdown, would it also have an impact on sustainability and making sure you only produce what you think you will sell, and you will actually sell what you thought you would sell, kind of thing?
Yeah. So in retail, well, specifically for us and most retailers, there's seasonalities involved. So we have two seasons, fall, winter, spring, summer. Every season is comprised of 26 weeks. And we have this notion of in season and pre-season. What you're referring to in terms of waste or reducing waste or producing what's really necessary to sell requires pre-season demand forecasting. So you would forecast your demand 8 up to 12 months ahead of the season start. So once you're really good at making that forecast as accurate as possible, given the longer you forecast for, the less accurate you will be. So there might be some adjustments to be made there. So when you do proper demand forecasting at the SKU level, then you can determine the assortment part. So what products should I produce? Obviously, looking at historical sales and trends and seasonality, there's various factors in the products that you sell. Once you know what products or how many products you will produce, then you can start to use AI and start allocating them in the stores accordingly based on the demand. So this is all pre-season. The markdown, the markdown and order fulfillment, they are mostly for in-season management. So you already have bought the inventory, you already have it in your DC and also in your stores. And within those 26 weeks in season, for example, if we take markdown, what we're able to do at Aldo is to predict the units that we will sell per week. And the optimizer will, based on various factors like sell-through rates or life cycle, because every product has a different life cycle, and other constraints, the optimizer is able to tell us if we should take a markdown, and if we take a markdown, what would be the markdown percentage to take, with the optimal goal to maximize your gross margin at the end of the season. So fundamentally, your demand forecast is the catalyst to have this markdown or order fulfillment use case within the season to be successful. Similar to the preseason, in order to do proper assortment and allocation, which is your demand and supply, you need to be good at forecasting your demand preseason. So it all starts with doing proper demand forecasting.
So, like, what are the, like, we know that we've been traditionally keeping track of certain KPIs during the in season. Are there anything that you new data points that you have discovered during your research process for trying to use AI for your in season optimization of markdown and all that? Like, what are the different data elements or data points that you're analyzing, and how are you actually you know figuring out the trends, and then what product needs to how do you optimize the markdowns? Because we've been doing this retail for years and years. In fact, more than 60 years now using computers, but still a lot of those are very gut feeling driven. So whenever somebody says we are doing it data driven, I'm like, okay, I've been coming from computer background, dealing with a lot of data. I still think that most of the people are doing gut feeling based. They get all these reports, but at the end of the day, they just do it what they really their gut tells them. So like, how is AI with all these things put together actually going to make it any different from those gut feeling based decision making, and what are those data points that AI will have to make that good decision for you or help you with that?
You touched on a very important point. So AI starts with data. So first you need to have the data. You need to collect the data ethically, of course, with consent and all this. Those data sets need to be hosted in a warehouse. In our case, we use AWS technology, so we have a data lake. Before we start this initiative in 2023, we had to reevaluate our data lake infrastructure, and we had to build new accounts because it was the original data lake we had was conceived for business intelligence. Now, to do AI, you cannot rely on that type of data schema. It needs to be structured in a different way in order to be consumed by these models you're building to have the output necessary of what you're trying to achieve. So it all starts foundationally from there. Now, in terms of the data sets, you have multiple data sets that you probably store, but you need to think of it as a use case. Let's say you want to do markdowns. You need to identify what data sets would you need to answer your question. In our case, we started with inventory, transactions, which are your sales data, and you have your DC stock on hand and also your store stock on hand. So these were the three main data sets that we used. We experimented with other data sets as well, like promotions, collaborations, etc. But we found that in order to have a foundational model, these three specific data sets were the ones that we should start with because it was giving the results that we were that we were experimenting on and that we had hypothesis on for the results. Now, once you do your experimentation and you get the desired output and you're confident that this model makes sense, that already removes the human the subjectiveness that you referred to, because the machine is giving you answers, is giving you is very good at identifying the patterns and also predicting, right? So it removes all the human emotion. It's really relying on data. Now you take this data, these results that are generated by the model, and now the human aspect comes into play. Does this make sense to you? And then we give them different we give them the option to make modifications, which on the spot makes another forecast to say, okay, if I'm changing this, then here's what the result is going to be at the end of the season. So they can fine tune whatever the AI has given them in terms of result. And once they're satisfied, once it makes sense, only then they approve those markdowns, for example, and then the prices get updated in the master records. So it starts with data, the human and the data sets. You need to experiment with that data, make sure to pick and choose the one that you're ready to build a foundation on, and then the human element comes into play. And once you have that product, then you continue experimenting with, for example, external data sets like weather or the CPI, for example, or if it's an election year or no. All these factors and other internal data sets like Google Analytics or social media data. We have a backlog of data sets that we want to experiment with, but you can't do them all at once. It starts with the foundational basic, and then you start evolving the model with additional data sets, always evaluating the performance. And having the human input is super critical.
Cool. So, like, in the data elements you talked about, there's like a few things that I can clearly relate to. Is like, one is the sales data, then inventory data. So, like in the sales data, especially when we have a digital sales or orders captured on the digital channels like e-com or mobile apps. uh, we know that these orders were captured, and now if they were fulfilled from which place we were fulfilling from and all that, so we have that idea also in that fulfillment process. Let's say if the order was routed to a certain store and the store rejected, we know that also. But now when it comes to in-store sales, we only know what happened. Means a customer found the product they wanted and placed the order, or customer agreed to at least place the order for the item they could not find and get it shipped to them to their home, or maybe come and pick up some other day, whatever. But then there are many customers in the store who may not find what they want and not actually register it in any digital format, like they didn't place the send sale order from the store. So you don't know about these events happening in the store. But then there are more of these events happening than actually other rejection scenarios. So how do you account for these practical situations?
We actually capture that.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes, so I'll explain. We have an app called mFind, which we developed years ago at ALDO. What this does is you walk in an ALDO store and an associate has an iPod, and you say, I want this style in this size. The first thing they do is they pull the mFind app on the iPod and they actually see if they have it available or no. So right there, that's the demand of the in-store, which we already capture. So this is on the backlog, this mFind data set that we want to clean up and in the future integrate this in our models so that we are even more accurate. So we do capture that data, Anil, yes.
Awesome. This is great. In fact, I am a big fan of ALDO shoes. And for many, many years, I've been using, or I've been putting on ALDO shoes all the time. Like more recently, I picked up a few other brands, but ALDO is one of those top ones because I like boots. And so I shop a lot at ALDO shoes. And I always see this experience for sure. I have experienced myself. Then whenever I go ask, I pick up a sample from the display and ask them if they can find me a shoe in my size, and they always scan it and then look up and they do it. And I liked it. I was impressed that they are really cute and they can look up the inventory. Man, I didn't realize that it was actually helping associate to find the inventory before they go in the back, but at the same time giving you the insights in the store operation. Man, I love it. Amazing, amazing. This is now I get that, if I build this little app for inventory lookup, I know what I will tell to retailer to sell that or have them use that. Amazing. Thank you. This is great. Yeah, this is important, man. Like, the holistic technology view you approached it with is amazing, because the problem is the quality of data. And this is like, I always wondering, like, you don't even know what's happening in the store. How can you predict? But I cannot say this in your case. You know what's happening in the store. And similarly, also earlier we were talking about use of RFID for inventory accuracy. So tell us about your experiences with use of RFID for inventory accuracy.
So this summer we experimented with the RFID technology in three of our stores, ALDO stores, two regular stores and one outlet store. And obviously, when we did the first scan, we had a baseline of the accuracy we had in those stores. And after 8 to 10 weeks of piloting the RFID technology, we saw a lift of about 6-7% in terms of accuracy in just a short amount of time. And just for those who aren't familiar with the way it works, is every day the stores receive a stock on hand. So and then there's the actual RFID device that you can use to scan the store very quickly. In our case, the average scan time is 20 minutes, and then it does a comparison with the stock on hand file, and you can make adjustments on the fly, so you have more precision in your inventory. And what this allows is, the way we see it is, the more you increase your inventory accuracy, the more chance you have to fulfill an order. Because we ship from stores mostly, it's really important for us the decline rate. So for example, if your store has a 75% accuracy in inventory, then the decline rate is 25%. So 1 out of 4 you could decline, which is not really good for the customer, because it goes to that store, and then it goes to the next store, and then you want to fulfill at the first touch of the store. So the RFID is going to bring that dimension. Now, we're not saying we're implementing it across the entire fleet as of yet. We're building a business case on this to see if it's going to be feasible. But at least for the pilot, we see improvement in the accuracy, which is an additional data set we will use to train our models. It all comes back to data and to train the AI, basically.
Yeah, this is great. In fact, so like one of the blocker, like back like 3 4 years ago, I had conversation with a retailer about RFID and things, and one of the blockers was the initial cost, the investments you had to make, and particularly also like not only in the hardware to equip the stores with, but also tagging all those inventory items. So, how is your experience on getting those initial cost and changes in operations? Like even applying those tags and removing those tags and keeping track of them could become additional process in the store.
Right. So we are evaluating that actually in currently. It is a costly solution, yes, but our intent, so for the pilot, we had to manually tag over 30,000 products in those 3 stores. Obviously, that's not what's going to happen in the future. If we do decide to go with this technology and adopt it for the fleet, then it would be tagged already at the source from the factory, and there's a marrying process to ensure that RFID is tagged to the proper UPC or SKU or the barcodes. And then, but there are other challenges. Of course, there's an upfront big investment, but that's to be negotiated with the various partners. But more importantly, if it brings value and it helps you sell more shoes, then that you would go for the solution. But there are other challenges that RFID brings. For example, if there's an online order that's placed and you're shipping from store, so you know that item is already sold for an online order, then you need to be able to isolate those so that when you do your count, you don't count those because they're already sold. So there's an integration there to be done with your OMS system to say, when I do the scan, ignore this barcode because it's already sold. So there are various challenges, obviously, but it's all part of the business case that we're trying to build and present and see where it takes us.
Yeah, that's true. And also, like you said, that you were talking about really technical, like integrations between the systems. At the same time, even bringing, if we bring in the RFID technology in the store, there's a lot of training involved at the store associate level, and that would also be a lot of challenge to get everybody to be retrained, especially because there's like a certain amount of employee turnover, so there's like a retraining and all that involved. So do you have any thoughts about it?
So we can use AI for that, Anil. For example, you were just asking me the question, and I just thought about it like this. But we have built an ALDO assistant. So think of it as a ChatGPT for ALDO, and it actually uses the OpenAI Assistant API itself. What we can do is we can feed it all the documentation about the RFID, because let's say the company we go for to work with on this technology has already documentation on how to train people. So we could feed all that And then the store associates can basically ask questions and talk to the actual documents itself for the training. So you can prepare maybe a short video or something really simple, but then you allow them to interact with the bot that understands natural language because of these LLMs. That's the beauty. And they can actually speak and get trained, or if they have questions, they can talk and it will answer, just like we do today with ChatGPT for anything that we want information for. So I'm not. It simplifies that training process. In fact, we want to use this maybe in our stores with our associates for day-to-day stuff. We're thinking about that, so that could be part of it too.
Awesome. So, like, this is interesting. Like you said, definitely, AI chatbots could be helpful for our customers on the website. But then, like you said, having a really trained AI model on companies' internal information, internal documentation, and processes could be a really good asset for our own people, increase their productivity, so that they could be more. They can help customers even more. It's in line with the reasoning we would have a few years ago for having mobile apps or good tools for the employees so they can get job done faster and help your customer. So now just a simple good user experience is not enough, or having information on your fingertips is not enough. It's more. Now you need a assistant that is trained with your own internal information plus the data. Like that's interesting. So in that case, now not only these user manuals, but this AI needs to tap into my systems also, right? Like my order management system, my warehouse inventory management system, e-com, and all that. So do you also plan to have this AI, internal AI, this bot you're talking about, tap into all these different systems and be able to go query the data in the real time and be able to answer the question for the associate?
We haven't yet gone into that level of detail on this. We're very ambitious at Aldo. We want to do everything. So it's all a question of prioritization and having the right people focus on the right things that drive value at this moment. So although we have these aspirations to build such things, the possibility is there, but it's not currently our focus. Our main focus right now is to really build the revenue management system that I mentioned before, alongside other small projects that we're working on with McGill. We're very close to McGill. As a matter of fact, the retail school of Ben Sadoun School of Retail, it's in the ALDO organization made a big donation to fund the school, the retail school. So we do a lot of work with McGill and the students on various little projects. So we have those side projects, but our main focus really is to work on those use cases that we spoke about at the beginning.
Awesome. This is great. So, like, this is interesting. Now, what if I was your student? I was or the Heartwax, our company was the student of one of your organization where you had funded. Uh, for an order management system, what kind of challenges or what kind of, hackathon projects would you suggest me to take on and go back and work with my team and come back to you with some information, maybe something interesting like OMS. Now, what kind of AI capabilities do you expect from a OMS today, or maybe like in 2 years down the road? What are the little things we can do that could be of use for retailer like you?
Mm-hmm. So today's order management systems are mostly rule-based systems. So one of the use cases that we are actually gathering the requirements for now to build a proof of concept on and experimentation is the order fulfillment optimization. We at Aldo fulfill mostly from stores. I would say 95% from stores. So when an order is placed, what is the best possible option for that product to be shipped from? I'm oversimplifying at this point, but usually you can either buy online from our e-com site, or you can place an order in store, which goes through the order management system that we have. But then the way we see it is we want to add intelligence to that. So for example, if I'm home and I buy Chelsea boots in a size 10 and there's a store that's 2 kilometers from my house, but I know that that store will sell those boots that I want like hotcakes. It's gonna fly off the shelf. So we would know that already because of the demand factor. But the store, which is 10 kilometers away, will likely not sell that style. So fulfill it from that store. This is just one of many possibilities that AI can bring to the table, just because of that demand factor, just because you know the demand, and you can be nimble and you can adjust things on the fly. You can even reallocate stock between stores if need be. So we're currently in the process of packaging the requirements that we really want to prove in the proof of concept, to then elaborate on and make a product out of it that we can integrate into the OMS flow in terms of intelligence. So that's your hackathon project for you.
No, this is great. In fact, so what I get is like definitely there's a rules set of rules which are going to evaluate our order routing based on like availability and all that. So now you're saying that my hackathon project is to analyze the data, the sales data, and the inventory, consumption rate and all that, and then based on that, figure out if in the certain week of the season, let's say 24th week of the season or 22nd week of the season or something in the middle of the season, how should my rules in the order management should change so that such orders, like you said, where if the sell-through rate of certain SKU is much higher at certain store, the order should get routed to some other store which is slightly far away, but it's okay to pay additional $10 for shipping, but let's consume inventory from the location that has lower sell-through, right? Did I get the challenge right?
Yeah, at a high level, I think yes. It's a lot more complicated than that. Probably we're really oversimplifying, but that's why we have PhDs in the team to figure those out.
I know that's true. In fact, yeah. So for sure, I should not get too ambitious that I'm going to go build those AI stuff. I think I should go find some experts in the space on how to model data, because it's not like the data model I would build for business intelligence reporting can be simply used for training my AI models. There is a difference, like you said earlier, I think. And when it comes to designing such data models and what data attributes and how you organize that information in your data lake or data warehouse, that's where I think you mentioned the challenges are. That's where the research projects are supposed to be going, right?
Yes, exactly. So it all starts with the data, obviously, um, like you mentioned, because in the data lake you have different layers. So you have the raw layer, for example, that just ingests from the source, let's say the OMS, and then it goes through various jobs, it gets transformed and it becomes prepared and then it becomes refined. So those are like three different layers. So the same data goes through processes, and then at the end you create the tables, look at it as a gigantic Excel spreadsheet, and then that's what you feed in the models with feature sets, etc., to make those predictions. But yeah, we leave that to the PhDs.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. I'm really excited, actually. In fact, yeah. Let's see. Now, I'm today in our conversation. Uh, I am feeling much more confident that retailers are interested in using AI. If not all, I know Aldo is using, so I know I can go talk to other retailers. Say, you know what, you should also try the retailers that are from our customer base. Because traditionally retailers are very at least they are slow generally in adopting new technology for many reasons. for sure, and those reasons make sense. But now that I see there is business value in bringing AI in the retail business, I could totally see it and why you are so much excited and motivated to do that.
And Aldo has always been at the forefront of innovation. If I can be frank, it's one of the many reasons why I decided to join the Aldo family. Is even back from my digital days at Aldo in 2016. We were there's this concept in commerce that was called headless. We were headless before headless became a thing, for example. So microservices. These were things that we had already adopted from 2016, 17, before it became mainstream. And now we're doing the same with AI. So we're bold, we're ambitious, we're strategic. And like you said, our executives, David, our CEO, believes in these technologies because he sees the value, just like we see the value. Anything we do, at the end of the day, it's to satisfy our consumers and to sell more shoes. So how can we accomplish this? How can we give our customers the most frictionless experience? For example, the order fulfillment. That's going to create great customer satisfaction. If you walk into a store, let's say, and the shoe is there, well, that's good customer satisfaction. Or if I'm fulfilling from a store that I know you're going to get it quicker because I don't have to go ping multiple stores. So it's always with the customer in mind at the end. Um, and if it drives value for the business, it makes sense, and we go for it, and we're not scared.
This is great. Great. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm really happy that I had opportunity to talk to you today, Armin. And actually, this is my, if not first, for sure, first few podcasts where I had the opportunity to talk about AI and use of AI in the retail space, and I learned a lot. And now I'm much more motivated to go invest in these technologies because I I'm now more confident that there are retailers who will consume it and use it and make a good use to deliver the good customer experience. So yeah, thank you very much. I'm really happy. And so like do you have like a quick few things that you want our retailers to take away from this episode, particularly about AI?
Um, well, just to continue on your conversation, retailers will adopt. So if you're a retailer listening to this, um, if you want to get into AI, then my advice for you would be to first start with quick wins. Okay, so establish a few quick wins to and this motivates the organization also to gain trust and see the value with the low-hanging fruit, even if it's just generating product descriptions or whatever. But start talking about it, especially at the executive level. Ensure you have the data. So, and also ensure that the data is of quality. So, implement data governance. The other thing is also educate your organization. Data literacy is very important. So you need to train your staff to understand data and why it's important. And the most important thing is to foster collaboration across the organization. So if you want to start AI initiatives, it's super critical that you become very close to your business people, and to really understand their challenges, understand how they do things today, and try to see ways to improve their decision making with these AI tools. And always remind them that this is not a replacement. We're not replacing humans. We're just giving them more powers to make informed decisions. So that would be my advice to any retailer that's listening to this and wants to venture in AI.
Awesome. This is great. And thank you very much. In fact, at every point when you said retailer, I can even say the technology company, and it would still work the same. We should start experimenting, and not that we are going to replace our engineers, but they are going to be much more uh, productive with this technology. So thank you very much. Yeah, I'm really excited. Armin, thank you very much for your time today. It was really wonderful talking to you. And I'll look forward to talking to you again sometime. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
That's it for this episode of the Customer Centric Retailing Podcast. If you like what you heard, you can subscribe on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Google Podcast. Please rate and review and recommend to a friend or a fellow retail fanatic. This podcast is presented by Hotworks Commerce.